Very good morning to all. Welcome to the lecture on disease of tongue. I'll be speaking under following headings: a brief introduction, then I'll be talking about development of tongue, then arterial supply, venous drainage, nerve supply, and lymphatic drainage of the tongue. Then I'll be talking about muscles of the tongue, and then I'll be classifying the tongue disorders. And thus I'll be concluding my topic. Once we finish this lecture, this should be our learning objectives. That is, we should be able to answer the development of the tongue, various arterial supply, venous drainage, lymphatic drainage, and nerve supply of the tongue. We should be able to answer the origin, insertion, and action of tongue muscles. And we should also be able to classify the tongue disorders. So to start, tongue is a specialized muscular organ of oral cavity, which helps in taste, speech, mastication, and deglutition. It shows changes in systematic and local disease, and so it is used as an indicator of health. We as stomatologists often are the first to encounter such changes, and thus we should be well acquainted with the tongue in the health and in disease condition. Coming to development of tongue, the anterior two-thirds of the tongue is formed by the fusion of two lateral lingual swellings and one medial swelling called as tuberculum impar, and posterior one-third is formed from the cranial part of the hypobronchial eminence. This is the lingual swelling, two lateral swellings, and this is the median swelling, and this is the hypobronchial eminence, and this is the cranial part of this. So all this fuse to form the tongue. Behind tuberculum impar, the site for development of the thyroid gland is there. As thyroid tissue descends, epithelium along the tract proliferates to form a downward growth called as thyroglossal duct. Site of this downward growth is marked by a depression called as foramen cecum. Coming to muscles of the tongue, it develops from the occipital myotomes. There are two types of muscles, intrinsic and extrinsic. In intrinsic, we have superior longitudinal, inferior longitudinal, transverse, and vertical. In extrinsic muscles, we have genioglossus, hyoglossus, staloglossus, and palatoglossus. This is the picture showing the intrinsic muscles of the tongue. This is the cross section of the tongue, and this is a pictorial diagram showing the superior longitudinal, inferior longitudinal, transverse, and the vertical muscles. This is the picture showing the extrinsic muscles of the tongue with different attachment. This is the palatoglossus muscle attached to the palate. Then we have the genioglossus muscle attached to from the genial tubercle of the mandible to the tongue. Then you have a staloglossus muscle attached to the styloid process to the tongue. Then you have hyoglossus that is attached from the white bone to the tongue. Coming to functions of the tongue muscles, the superior longitudinal helps in elevation of the tip of the tongue. Inferior longitudinal depresses the tongue. Transverse muscle helps in the, once it contracts, it leads to the lengthening of the tongue. And vertical muscle, once the contraction of vertical muscle leads to the flattening or broadening of the tongue. Coming to functions of the extrinsic muscles of the tongue, we have genioglossus, hyoglossus, staloglossus, and palatoglossus. Genioglossus helps in depression of the tongue and also protrusion of the tongue. Hyoglossus helps in depression and retraction of the tongue. Staloglossus in retract the tongue, and palatoglossus helps in elevation of the posterior part of the tongue. Coming to arterial supply of the tongue, it is supplied mainly from the lingual artery, which is the branch of the external carotid artery. The root of tongue is also supplied by the transverse branch of the facial artery and ascending pharyngeal branch of the external carotid artery. Coming to venous drainage, it is supplied by the deep lingual vein, which drains into the internal jugular vein. Lymphatic drainage, the tip drains into the segmental lymph nodes. The anterior two-thirds drain into submandibular lymph nodes, and posterior one-third and middle portion drains into the deep cervical lymph nodes. This is a picture you can see here. Tips drains into segmental lymph nodes. The contralateral side of the posterior two-thirds drains into submandibular lymph nodes, and in posteriormost part drains into the deep cervical nodes. Coming to nerve supply, it is divided into three parts: motor, sensory, and taste. In the motor, all extrinsic and intrinsic muscles are supplied by the hypoglossal nerve, except palatoglossus, which is supplied by the cranial part of the accessory nerve. Then sensory supply. For the anterior 2/3, it is by the lingual branch of trigeminal nerve. For the posterior 1/3, it is by the glossopharyngeal nerve, and posterior most part is supplied by the vagus and internal laryngeal nerve. The taste for the anterior 2/3 is carried by the chorda tympani, posterior 1/3 by the glossopharyngeal nerve, and for the posterior most part, it is through the vagus and internal laryngeal. So tongue can be broadly divided into two parts, oral part and pharyngeal part. Oral part lies in the oral cavity, and pharyngeal part, as the name suggests, lies in the pharynx. These two are separated by a V-shaped sulcus called as sulcus terminalis. This is the picture of the this is the pictorial diagram of the tongue, showing the tongue. This is the anterior 2/3, this is posterior 1/3. It is divided by the sulcus terminalis, and foramen cecum is there. And different papillae we can see on the tongue. This is the filiform papillae, the most numerous papillae, which gives the velvety appearance to the tongue. Then we have fungiform papillae on the lateral aspect, then foliate papillae. Then we have the circumvallate papillae just anterior to the sulcus terminalis. In posterior third, we have the different lymphoid follicles. Coming to ventral aspect of the tongue, we have the frenulum linguae, which is a median fold. Then we have deep lingual vein on either side of this median fold, which has a proper blue prominence. Then placa fimbriata, which is situated laterally to deep lingual vein and present as a mucosal fold. This is the picture we can see here. We have the placa. This first we have the lingual frenulum here. Then we have deep lingual vein on either side. Then we have mucosal fold called as the placa fimbriata. Coming to classification of tongue disorders, it can be classified into various ways. It can be developmental. In developmental, we have aglossia or hypoglossia, microglossia, macroglossia, ankyloglossia, bifid tongue, fissured tongue, and lingual thyroid. In traumatic, we have the physical or chemical. In physical, we have traumatic ulcer, scallop tongue. In chemical, we have chemical burn. Then in infectious, we have bacterial, fungal, or viral. In bacterial, we have syphilis, tuberculosis, scarlet fever. Among the fungal disorders, we have candidiasis and median rheumatoid glossitis. Among the viral diseases that affect the tongue, we have the herpes. Then other is the immunologic disorders. In this, we have recurrent aphthous ulcer, lichen planus, and pemphigus. Among the potentially malignant lesions and conditions, we have leukoplakia, erythroplakia, lichen planus, OSMF, and lupus erythematosus. Then various neoplastic disorders can also affect the tongue. Among these, in the benign, we have papilloma, fibroma, granule cell myoblastoma, leiomyoma, rhabdomyoma, hemangioma, lymphangioma, and neurofibroma. Among the malignant, most commonly we have squamous cell carcinoma, then we have adenocarcinoma, verrucous carcinoma, Kaposi's sarcoma, angiosarcoma, and malignant melanoma. Among neurologic disorders, we have dyskinesia or involuntary tongue movement of the tongue, dysgeusia or abnormal taste, glossodania or pain in the tongue, trigeminal neuralgia, and glossopharyngeal neuralgia. Among systemic diseases that affect the tongue, we have the blood disorders, that is anemia, then metabolic disorders. So to conclude, tongue is a specialized organ which performs numerous activities as taste perception, swallowing, phonation, etc. Knowledge of its development, its muscles, papillae, and other structures help one to differentiate healthy from the diseased tongue. So now we should be able to answer these questions. We can write a short note on the development of the tongue. We can write short note on the origin and insertion of the tongue muscles. Now we know what are the different functions of tongue muscles, and we can also classify the tongue disorders. So thank you for your patient hearing. Hope this lecture was useful.